Okay, so g'day. So this is what I'm up to at the moment. I haven't played much Space Engineers over the weekend, but I did do some fiddling with some things. So this is just showing you the evolution of that ship as it goes along. As we progress down the end, I think I was pretty close to this stage last time I showed the ship to you, but put some teeth on the front. Must fix these pods up just so they had doors that open and shut. I was fiddling with the idea of having like a decoy. There's a couple of decoys in that just to shoot out to distract ships while I move in. Thought I'd turn that off, but obviously not. Also, I was putting some guns on the ship. I did turn it off. Anyway. So there we go. Yeah, so the idea is if you just that decoy's got a jet on it, and I suppose you'd have a blueprint, it would automatically print this, and so you disconnect the merge block and it would shoot out with the decoys on it, so it would go towards enemy ships and they would concentrate fire on that because the decoys are attracting the enemy fire while you shot. Now, as for shooting, that's what the teeth on the front do. Just opens up some guns in the front. Now, it's only on each side of those doors that opened up. There's a 2x2 square grid. Now, couldn't really fit many guns in there normally, but managed to put quite a few extras in there. Yeah, so that actually, I've taken it out and shot ships with it. Large ships that take quite a while to shoot, it actually disintegrates the entire large ship in a very short time frame. So, yeah, so I've used a rotor to attach a small head to it, so then I can put the small ship's guns on it, so then it can fit across that same gap. Fit a lot more guns through the hole. It's actually a lot of guns, so it totally disintegrates any ships ahead of you. Now, the other thing with this rotor is if you flip these rotors here, I could actually have a second set of guns along that line, or maybe even third and fourth if I really wanted to, maybe. But anyway, so the second set of guns, so that could flip up, and the second set of guns could be like maybe missile launchers. You could switch it out for, so it could rotate different type of guns. And got safety measures, so when you trigger that time block at the end, that's what opens and shuts the doors, and it also turns off the gun, so when you're in the cockpit you don't accidentally shoot the front doors off. Anyway, so that's that. But what I was mainly messing with over the weekend was just, remember back a few videos ago where I was talking to you about this snaking idea for a sort of mining drill snakehead. Now, this is as normally I've got sort of an evolution of what I made. So I started off with this, and this was rotating left and right, and these go up and down. Now this is the first time I tried it, and the rotors don't go the whole way around, and so it was, so basically what it does is it allows you to rotate in certain directions yeah, you can just spin it around and it goes. And it just uses the gyro to basically move with a front and back thruster, which, it's not bad. It kind of does look like a snake, I guess. But it did have limiting sort of access to it. Now, I've basically had the rotors flip back to its final locking position, so that when you finish messing around with it, it just rotates itself back to its original position, like spring steel kind of thing. Then I went to try it with yeah, so that was the original first attempt. Second attempt had two rotors. So one, they're both locked in this limited, sorry, in one direction. This one's limited that way. This one's limited, clockwise and anti-clockwise. So they basically come to that final resting place now. But I've given them unlimited in the opposite direction. So say for example, this one on the end, it can basically spin unlimited amount of times that direction, and it would just always flip back and then stop in that final position. So, and also the number 2 and number 3 button is what basically controls the spinning back to the original position. So I might move down here and have a drill on the end of this and then drill away things. Now, tension on those rotors is controlled with number 2 and number 3. So at the moment it's kind of at a nice spot where I can control it, but it will just automatically spring itself back to its original position. Yeah, so I thought, okay, we're getting somewhere. The next one was, I thought, it's no good like that. I need to have it extend, otherwise it's not going to be very useful. So I started attaching pistons to it. So we got the old double rotor and then attach pistons to it. So basically exactly the same thing, except we can extend out, and it just looks like, it started feeling like it didn't look like a snake, and it looked more like a bunch of elbows stuck together, left, right, up and down. So like, this still works. Also I attached a rotor at the end to get a small grid cockpit on the end, because that'll allow me to put a lot more thrusters, because they're a lot smaller. And ship weighs next to nothing there on the end, so it only needed some small thrusters. These ones I used just one big one forward and back, which works pretty good. That's all you really need. You don't actually need any, but it just does give you that a little bit extra control. And I put just a loose rotor on the end just so you could just spin it around when you're digging into the rock. As you can see, I did do a bit of digging on the rock there when I was messing with it. So then, after I attached that small grid, I thought, yeah, that worked pretty good, I like that. The next one was, next attempt was all small grid, which had some little pistons in its snake, I guess, neck, body. I really liked the way this turned out, where this articulation was, but it still just felt like a bunch of elbows stuck together kind of thing. It didn't, and the smaller grid it shakes, like it doesn't look like it's going to stay together. And when you extend it, it looks even worse. You jump out. You can see it when it stops or rotates or whatever, it just shakes and it looks like it's going to fall apart. It doesn't look strong. Whether it is strong or not, don't know. It's obviously weaker components, but it didn't look good, so we moved on. We've learned a bit from each one. So we've learned, I like this snaking method. It actually looks more like a snake. I liked the double rotor design we took from that. Then we liked, well, we needed to use pistons, and we went, the small grid here looks a lot better and can give you a lot more little thrusters just to top off your control. So basically what you turn with when you're in these cockpits is just a gyroscope. You don't need the thrusters, but just swiveling your mouse left and right controls, which way you're turning. Okay, so the last design here that I've messed with, we've gone back to the snaking design, which I like. Pardon me. But we've used single rotors, but from one to the next works like a double rotor. The design we've learnt from back there. So one is limited clockwise, one's anti-clockwise, same with this one. So we haven't got the upwards one. It stops it looking like a bunch of elbows, because from the first one worked out that we can actually get all the angles that we want just by those two directions, because once we say we bend down, start bending sideways, we get the angles that we didn't actually have rotors for. This one started to feel really good, like we've got a lot of got all the angles and it just snakes properly. So with number 2 and number 3, like with all the others, we weaken the tension on those rotors so it doesn't spring us back so much. We've got a lot more control, move around. Now I'm pointing down here because it's only rocks, I guess, to aim at. But yeah, so this has like the 360 degree unlimited movement in any direction, because some of those rotors are just not limited in certain directions. So anyway, if you want it to stay a bit more tension, you use number 2 and it keeps the snake trying to sort of push back towards its original direction. So I guess to operate it you would find a value using 2 and 3 to up and down till you got what enough power to strength to move it, but not so much that you lose control. Anyway, so I liked this, and so with the pistons I wanted individual control, because if I now wanted to drill down here into this dirt and I extended both pistons, one would go out, one would go, well, they both go out, but I don't get any benefit because I'm effectively in the same spot as I was. So, but if I just extend one at a time, I can change where I'm angling it a lot better. So just use number 2 to strengthen all the rotors, and it puts me back, it stretches me back to where I was started, like spring steel. Got a bit of my frog in my throat today. So anyway, yeah, so you just, with whatever gyroscopic power and tension and everything, you got to counteract that with the in number 2 and number 3 there, with the tension of the rotors. Basically it controls everything. It's really easy to use. You just move your mouse around. Yeah, just steer it left and right and up and down with the mouse. Yeah, so say I want to dig down here, I would extend to just the neck, and sort of goes like that snake method. Now I had I did dig a lot of the rock out when I was messing around with it. Yeah, so that now solves the problem of, you know, digging certain areas that one piston control would, you know, give us problems. We just wouldn't be able to reach certain things. So yeah, just to go back into position, just strengthen the tension, and it all just flips back to its original setup. So that's the design I like the most. Now that would be pretty cool on a ship. So come out the bottom of the ship. Yeah, so that's not a real lot of length. So I guess the next step would be to then flip the next rotor up and then follow this snake method back. So it would double its length with only just an increase. Going up a bit, you could snake up a bit further, a little bit similar to the way this pipe works here. So in a compact length, I've got 1, 2, 3 pistons there that push out, whereas if I'd attach those 3 pistons one after the other, the minimum size of that would be out here somewhere. But anyway, so we could take that, we could snake this back up, back across itself, and maybe even back again a third time. That would give us a lot of length. So it'd be, yeah, so then that might fold out the bottom of the ship, and you just control it, drill into some asteroids or whatever, and just jump out of the seat and it folds itself away with the tension on these things here, just enough, just puts it back into position. So that's the design I've come up with so far. I've yet to put it into a ship to try anything. The other thing is, I noticed with larger ships it becomes harder and harder and harder to dock because you're trying to line up everything. Now if you had a space station, say you had a port on the side of this and you just pulled up relatively close, and because this is all conveyed, you could have a docking port. Instead of a drill, you could just have a docking port onto the end, and you just pull up somewhere nearby, and this thing could just, with all its articulation, could easily just find the side and latch on. You wouldn't have to be so precise with your big ship parking. Just something. Like a lot of these things are not optimal. Like in game, you'd be much better off just getting a ship with a drill in the end and fly out there and dig some rocks and run back. But we like making weird things, different things. Anyway, so that's all I've been doing. I haven't really been doing any additions to the actual ship in design really. I'll get back to that when I get bored. The last thing I was doing was fiddling with these decoy rockets. You shoot them out. So what it would be is you have a blueprint of the rocket there with a welder, and it would just continually weld more and more rockets. So as soon as you shot one out, it'd be building the next one. Yeah, and that I'll probably show you how these guns work in another video. I'll have to set up some enemy things to shoot. Yeah, but with those guns that are actually in there, if I turned around and shot this, it would cut it in half. Every block, it wouldn't just break blocks, it would disintegrate every block from here to the other side in about just a couple of seconds. So yeah, it's a lot of guns. Anyway, that's about it.